Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Free Your Mind and Be Free show. And I'm Mr. Work Smarter, this is Mr. Free Your Mind, and we've got my cousin all the way from LA.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle.
Yeah, tell them about you.
I am on YouTube as well. I do blogging with hair and beauty, and I'm also a psychologist. And I'm here visiting my cousin in London.
Yep.
So I'm excited about our show today.
So I thought I'd take advantage of her service, yeah, because she's a dope person. I know she's got great views. And the topic today is about how you can move on from a broken relationship. And we're going to break it down into 3 sectors. So we've got one where you're dating someone for short, long term. And you've got someone that's running a business with someone that might have 50% each on the business, but one of them's slacking and not working hard enough. How do you move away from that? And you've got another side of the spectrum where you've grown up with your friends from the hood, but yeah, they're still in that negative environment and doing things that obviously you don't agree with. How do you move on away from that? So let's go. Where do we start? Let's start on the relationship one. Go on, cuz.
Okay, we're moving on from a broken relationship. This is probably something that everyone can identify with at some point in your life. I'm pretty sure that there's been a relationship that hasn't gone the way you expected it to, and you're trying to figure out how to mend that.
Yeah.
And I think that the number one thing I would say is when you are broken up with someone, that's it. Cut off all ties, all communication.
Can't have breaks?
Cut off everything. I think that's the hardest thing for people. It's like you know someone was bad for you or the situation was bad, but you don't want to let it go.
Okay.
And in turn you hurt yourself throughout that process for so long before you're able to move on.
Understandable. Don't you think in most cases it's because those people love their partners more than themselves? Because I feel like, because you see how it is, let's say they're in a long relationship and after the breakup they say, oh, you know what, I need to get my mind off it. So They start going to get a new guy, or they start saying, you know what, girls, let's go, I just want to get drunk, find other guy to kind of rebound off their situation. So I think what they have to realize is they have to love themselves first.
I love that, bro.
Before they can go and find love from someone else.
Absolutely.
But what, I guess my question is, what justifies as a reason to like move away from a relationship that you've imagine, Katie, let me give you an example. You've been with someone for 5 years, things are going great, and maybe the last year things start going down and you start arguing more often. Like, when do you say it's enough? Like, because you can just go back into another relationship and the same thing happens again. So
I think
when
it depends on what is happening. If it's something like verbal abuse, or if it's just lack of interest, you've been together for so long that you guys don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
I think depending on what the situation is, some things really are fixable. If you're able to talk about it, communication is obviously the biggest thing. A lot of times things might not be going right, but you don't want to say anything, they don't want to say anything, and you just, one day you just break up. And so I think talking about that is really important.
Yeah.
And then from there, if it's something that's actually really hurtful to you and harmful, hopefully you have a circle like friends or family, people who can say, hey, you know, you really should not be dealing with this sort of thing ever. And I think sometimes those triggers will help you realize that this is not normal.
Okay.
Because there are normal problems and there are things that are not normal problems that you should not be dealing with ever.
And what advice would you give to ladies? I know some crazy ladies, unfortunately, that have come out of a relationship and in a nutshell they can't live without them and they just start doing crazy shit. Like, how can they move on? What tips would you give them in order to get their minds away, clear their mind and get their minds off things like off that guy and move on? Like, what are some of the things you would say?
Well, I think it's really hard, first and foremost. It's not like an easy thing, but I think for one, like the loss of a relationship is like losing a family member, a friend. It's like a death. So I think mourning that loss is important. So you're not just saying like, you know, I don't care, it doesn't matter, and just moving on. Like it doesn't, because it's gonna hit you one day really hard. So I think mourning it, actually crying or doing whatever you have to do to get it out of your system, and from there just focusing on things that you're interested in, like any hobbies,
hobby or something,
friends. Use that love that you had for that other person and channel it somewhere else. There's so many other people who need love. There's orphans or sick children in the hospital. There's people who need your love. If you have so much love that you have to give it to someone else. It doesn't have to be a man or a woman. It can be anyone. So what do you guys think? I mean, do you like your ex-girlfriends hitting you up all the time talking about I miss you?
Nah, for me, it's unattractive, man. Like, if a girl's always hitting you up all the time and is on your case, and me personally, like, you want a girl that's on her stuff and you don't want her being bothered. That's my views.
Same here. I mean, you know, when I break up with you and you're still texting me 15 times or you're still calling me, I don't like that at all, and I don't rate it. So It's basically like getting to know a new girl. A new girl doesn't like it when you're always on her.
Yeah.
If you don't text her for a day, she might think, oh, what's going on? Is he all right? You know what I'm saying? So, no, I don't rate that.
And more importantly is the comfortability thing. I think that's the key thing. But like, we'll take advantage of it. Like, if we know a girl's constantly doing that,
Right.
we know that we're not going to take her serious. However, if she offers it and throws herself at you, you know what? I'm not going to say no.
Oh, so
I'm
you'll
just-
say I miss you too, just so she, just so she
Do you know
can
what?
remember?
I'm not gonna say I miss you too, but I'm gonna miss like the smiley, you know, the wink smile.
okay,
I'm not gonna entertain it. Like you're never gonna be number one.
Me personally, I've moved away from misleading girls. I think that's so important because
Right.
you don't want people to get the wrong end of the stick. Like
Right.
you're telling them, oh yeah, I like you and I want to be with you. You're just giving them the wrong message, and it's only going to lead to even
When
worse.
you're the one that left them.
Exactly.
But the thing is misleading. Yeah, that's. I mean, you even just entertaining by saying hi, I'm all right. That can be misleading as well. You know, some girls are crazy. We're talking about the ones that text you 15
point.
times.
Very good
So if
point.
you're just saying hi, I'm fine. Oh my God, he texts me saying hi, I'm fine. You see
oh,
what I'm
let's
saying?
catch up. They're going to read into it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's
See,
true.
so-
it makes it harder. It just takes longer for the healing process to
Exactly.
happen if you continue to do that. It's just better. They'll know your worth if you just leave them alone.
Alone.
And if they don't, then they don't. And you didn't
it.
need that anyway.
So on to the next topic, guys. So imagine you've got a business, you've started with your friend for years, like a good 5 years, but you've got 50-50, but things start going wrong. You see that he's slacking, he's not working hard, his communication's poor, and he's not putting in the effort. Like you can see that you're going around making things happen.
Okay.
Like, how do you move away from that? Because you know that he's just now being a detriment to your business.
That's happened to me before, actually.
Oh, is it?
But it was more of a moral thing. Some things that she was doing, I felt like it was going to impact our business
Okay.
and our name
Okay.
and my name and everything I worked for. And honestly, I had to say, you know, I need you to stop doing this. It's not good for you and it's not good for our image.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to stop. She continued doing it. And
Yeah.
I had to just cut ties. I had to say, you know what? I'm sorry, but I can't move forward with this and take that loss.
So you didn't
Because-
actually, so you took the loss of the business, you
That's the
actually walked
loss
away
of
from
the
it.
business, the loss of the dream.
Was it easy for you to do that,
It
or
was
did
really
you have to
hard.
think about
I
it
had
for
to
a few
think about
days?
it. I talked with my mom and people that I trusted. I prayed about it, but I did not feel good on the inside because I knew what she was doing was going to ruin us. And so,
I respect that.
yeah.
And my question to you then is that, like, did you ever feel like setting up a similar business? Obviously, you was clearly passionate about it.
Right, yes. In the future, I do, and I will probably set up a similar business.
Okay, cool.
Different name, maybe,
yeah.
but a similar vision because I'm not going to let it just die because of that situation.
And do you think you would do it alone, probably, rather than having a second person that can give you some advice?
That's a good question. I'm not sure yet. I think that I'm going to try and find someone else if I can to partner with. I can do it alone.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of sisterhood,
Yeah,
and I do
makes
want
sense.
to have another partner.
Unity.
Yeah.
And what's your lot's thoughts on doing a business with a friend or family?
You know, with that, it's tricky. It's really tricky. I mean,
hard.
because I had one of my uncles, for example,
Yeah.
having a business with my dad, and they don't handle it professionally. I mean, they always come with, oh, but you owe me this, you owe me that. I think it's better to find a person that you don't know with the same mindset, so you can actually sit down, talk about it, and you don't bring things from the outside into the business. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
How do you know who to trust?
That's the problem. Like, I think that's a very good question.
That's a very good
and
question.
do you think contracts should be in place regardless of, like, my own brother, like my own flesh and blood? Should I say, oh yeah, I want to do a contract? Do you think it's still right?
It's right. It's
Definitely.
messy. It's messy,
But it has to be done.
It's right. Yeah.
Because in the end, they can come back to you and say, listen, there's no contract, I didn't sign anything, so I'm taking this.
That's
It
right.
looks bad on you.
yeah.
I've even got an example. I remember, like, I wanted to set up a stationery product business, and I wanted to do it with some of my colleagues, and we set up the business, and we had meetings. But then I realised at a very early stage that they weren't going to put in the work, and I just felt like I was putting on 90% of the work, and I just felt like, say something now. I know it was hard for me because obviously you're thinking, look, we started it together. However,
Right.
I was like, let me keep it real with these guys. Like, I can see the patterns already. So I think before it gets worse, mention it from early. I think it's so important to
Communication
Yeah,
again.
communication. Just making it. And listen, you might break some bridges, but I think it's important to do that sooner rather than later.
But communication, like you said, is important because if you notice that you're putting in more work and they're slacking and they're not holding their weight, you say something about it. Don't wait until it's done and say,
it's done.
I did all of this, you know, because then that.
Yeah.
Because it still looks bad on
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
yeah,
You're a
yeah.
team.
So me personally, I know a lot of people say, do you do business with your family, your friends? I don't think you should look at it like that. I think you should have a self-assessment. Like look at people from a wider perspective and say, look, what is he good at? Is he good with marketing? Is he good with his law? Does he understand contracts? Is he good with internet, coding, social media? Like, I think in order to have a strong team, because together everyone achieves more.
Right.
It's important to understand people's skill set and don't bring people, because he's my Cody, he's my friend, I've been with him for years. It just doesn't work, and that's where things go wrong. A lot of people are trying to please people and stop being a people's pleaser. Do things for the right reasons.
I don't know. Don't you think it depends on the field? Because in some fields, like with entertainment, I hear oftentimes artists, celebrities, they like their friends to be
the management
because they trust them, they love them, they'll tell them the truth. Versus the new people that they meet, who they bring on, who are trying to please them. So I kind of see it sometimes going the opposite way.
Funny enough you say, because I know a lot of artists that's on a come up in the UK scene. They've got their brothers and families that are their managers, and there's nothing wrong with that. However,
I think it depends on the field.
It depends on what they're good at. Like they can't just say, because he's my brother, I trust him and everything. Because if he's not booking shows for us, if he's not getting us at the right events, then he's not doing a good job. At the end of the day, what value is he adding?
It depends on how they feel, because your brother might love you so much that they're going to
stay
up all night and do everything that they can, or they're just going to relax, and maybe someone who's really, really like business-minded would do all they can. So I guess it really just does depend. So what do you guys think about starting a business with a significant other or boyfriend or girlfriend, wife, husband? What are your thoughts on that? Is that a good idea?
I think Dennis can talk about that.
Yeah, I can talk about that, because I was in a situation where I was doing a business with my partner, and it's such a great feeling when you know you're doing it with someone that you love and care about. However, there's a thin line. You've got to know when business is business and when pleasure is pleasure. And two of the key traits I think you need to have is discipline and strong character. Me personally, it's not easy. However, it can be done. But obviously, when things go wrong, that's when it can get a bit political. So, for example, I'll give you a prime example. We've got a business and it's making money. However, we go separate ways. Like, does the business continue? Or if someone wants to continue with it and they start making money, then the other person's like, no, you owe me 50%. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's a very thin line. Sometimes you might have to buy out the person, because you just want to avoid problems in the future, because now I may want to do something with the business and make a lot of money, and my partner has the right to kind of say, look, we built this together and you owe me money, and you're thinking, well, you didn't put in the work. However, that's why it's good to communicate and make things very clear. So whenever things do go wrong, just say to them, look, do you want to continue with the business or not? Or we're going to have a separate relationship where we can run the business, and even though I can move on with another relationship and you can move on with another relationship, we can still do it. But if you can't, just make that very clear from the start.
Okay, so what about friendships? How do you move on from broken friendships?
I think it's, let me start off with that. I mean, with me, for example, my friends know when I'm busy. My friends know when I have to do something, when I have to prioritize my work, or, I don't know, educational things. So if I don't call my friend, let's say for 2-3 days, they will understand. But I've got a feeling that most of the people think, oh, this guy hasn't called me for 2 days, 3 days. Oh, what's wrong with him? This and that. These people here, you have to put them aside, because they're not going to help you. They're not real friends. Your real friends know if you're on something and if you don't contact them.
You see what I'm saying? How do you do it? How do you break up with them?
I mean, I don't really break up with them. I put them to the side. I don't break up with them. So to them, I'm just saying, see you later rather than goodbye.
Okay.
You know, breaking up with them is saying, you know what, I don't need you, I don't want you no more.
Right.
And I think I'm at a certain age now. I know who to keep in my life and who not. Then when I was,
but even those that you say see you later, like if they're not doing anything positive and they're not doing anything that, you know what I mean, that you agree with, they're doing negative things, like what's the point of saying see you later? Just say bye bye.
No, but that's what I want to tell you guys. That's what I want to tell you is, because they're not on the same mindset, you can help them. You can get on the right mindset. You can go and get the right circle, and you can come back and help them. And
some people are not interested in being helped.
That's the thing.
I think that friendships are situational. I think that there are times where you're in school or you work at a certain job or you go to a certain gym and you meet people, and then after, when you move away, you don't talk, and you don't have to talk. I feel like people are not always in your life forever. Some people are there to teach you a lesson. Some people are there to be a comfort for a certain time period in your life, and you don't always have to keep people with you, especially if they're detrimental to your success or your happiness,
of course,
or your pockets. So I think that people really do need to evaluate whether or not this person should be in their life, and not just feel like they have to be loyal to them.
100%.
And a breakup sometimes is necessary.
Yeah, me personally, the way I deal with it is that I just don't talk to them. I know that might sound wrong, but if I'm not hitting you up, it's the reason why I'm not hitting you up. Like, I've got a lot of friends as in associates. I don't Like, I think there's a difference between having friends and having a social, people that you just know, you're cool, you see them in the same circle, that's cool. However, there's friends that you know that you could talk about business, you have friends that you can talk about family stuff, you can talk to friends about deep stuff that you're going through. Like, everyone plays a role, and I've got different people for different things, and I think it's important to know that. And I tell you the type of friends I like, the friends that are doing great, they motivate me to go higher. Those are the type of friends you want, not the friends that are negative, or telling you can't do this, or you've got a rubbish idea. Like, there's a difference between saying you've got a rubbish idea, but this is why it's rubbish. That's been having a constructive advice. There's a big difference. But the friends that say, oh, this is shit, and not giving a reason, those are people you should stay away from.
Or people who are just so stuck in the past. I have friends that only want to talk about things that happened 10 years ago.
It's like,
and
move on,
always
like
talk
using
about
excuses.
People, and I'm like, I don't want to sit here, have lunch, and talk about
talk about 10 years ago.
I don't want to talk about that.
Exactly.
You know? And they find that really hard.
Yeah.
But, you know, they have to also understand that you move forward. And sometimes that friendship has to end because of that.
So,
No,
I just have to say something, because someone said, look, your net worth is a reflection of your network. Trust me, just look at all your friends you're around. And I want you lot to do a little test, like, when you speak to your friends, like different circles, like, what do you talk about? Is it just gossiping? Are you talking about self-improvement, development? What are you really talking about? Because that's the key. Like, when you meet your friends, like, if it's just gossiping, honestly, you need to really consider your friendship. Because me personally, I don't want to be going all the time and gossiping about people. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And that's why I wanted to say, because one of my friends asked me, how can you have 20 friends to go raving with, but you haven't got one friend to do business with? That's what you have to ask yourself as well. You know, you have all these friends they can go raving with, you can talk, you can call them and say, oh, have you seen her and her? But you haven't got one friend that you can sit down with and talk about business. So think about
Or the friends that just use you as a listening ear. Just always calling to complain or talk about how their man did them wrong. And it's like, is this all I'm good for? You know, and so that's really, that can be toxic. So when you realize that you are in a toxic situation, or you're with people who are constantly dragging you down and stressing you out, that's like the signal that you need to go ahead and keep it pushing.
So to end, I just remember, don't think about the quantity of your friend, but the quality of your friends. Thanks for tuning into our show. Hopefully you've taken some valuable advice on board. And Cos, thanks for coming down all the way from LA.
Thank you so much for having me. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave it below. We would love to hear what your thoughts are.
And always remember, free your mind and be free. It's all about yourself.
I love that. Let's end. Peace.